Douglas High School since 1910. Whereas the Douglas High School Alumni Association started in 1961 at a meeting in Arizona Bank by DHS alumni, whose vision was to bring together all DHS alumni triannually, a tradition that has been carried forward for over the last 56 years. Whereas the 2017 triannual reunion has dedicated this year triannual reunion to DHS educators and Coach Kenneth Khmer. Coach Khmer spent 31 years influencing young Bulldogs' lives. Whereas the 2017 triannual reunion will also honor and remember their departed classmates and Bulldog families, educators, and community leaders who influenced Bulldog alumni lives. Whereas the Douglas High School Alumni Association will present to DHS attendees the recipients of this year's DHS Alumni Association Scholarships, DHS 2017 graduates, Jocelyn Hurtado, Isabela Niebles, and Cristina Cosa. Whereas Douglas, Arizona is a patriotic community, the DHS Triannual Reunion will celebrate the opening of the Wall of Faces, Douglas Vietnam War era Veterans Commemoration exhibit located in the historic Gaston Hotel, City of Douglas, shows him thanking all who served. Whereas it is so ordered October 13th, 14th, and 15th at this time for former Douglas High School alumni to celebrate their roots, rekindle friendship, explore their hometown, and reminisce. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Robert Uribe, Mayor of Douglas, Arizona, on behalf of the city, proclaim October 13th, 14th, and 15th as 2017 Triannual Reunion and DHS Bulldog Gathering. Once a Bulldog, always a Bulldog.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Contrary to popular belief, Councilmember Ivan Jewish was not a member of that first class, graduating class of DHS. I'll make sure that's clear. He came after that. Jewish when it was.
Item number 6, City Youth Council report. Presented by Luna.
Good evening, Good evening, Mayor and Council. On behalf of the members of the City Youth Council and myself, I would like to present the monthly report for the month of September. On September 15th of 2017, we participated in the Fiestas Parade where we walked with our City Youth Council banners and gave out candy to the attendees. On September 25th, we had our monthly meeting where we planned and discussed future events for the months of September, October, November, and December. On September 30th, 2017, I participated in the city cleanup as a representative of the City Youth Council, and on behalf of them. Our upcoming event, participation, and trip includes as follows. We will be leaving for a retreat to DD Gamble Ranch on October 12th. We will be hosting and participating in 2 events for the month of October, which will be the Arts Walk Art Contest on October 20th, and a Halloween event which is still being planned. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item number 7, presentation discussion by Director of Arizona Office of Film and Digital Media, Mr. Matthew Earl Jones, concerning Is Your City Film Ready? Mr. Jones, welcome to the greatest border community in the state of Arizona, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council, thank you for inviting me to be here. And also thank you for a lovely tour of the city. So the subject is what can the city do to be more film friendly or film ready, and I actually can say nothing. I'm very impressed with the locations. As a filmmaker myself, riding around, I saw many different locations that we've dealt with from many different places across this country. So commend you on that. And I really don't think there's anything the city needs to do. However, there are some things the state can do to help you get the word out. And I'd like to talk to you about a couple of those things.
Great.
First of all, on our website, we have a pretty extensive database of locations throughout the state of Arizona. And if there are any locations in the city that are interested in being used for filming destinations, feature films, videos, documentaries, television commercials, short films, it would be our honor to promote those locations for you on the state's website. And our website dovetails in with a international registry based on the software that we have purchased. So if a location is on our website, then people all over the world, actually location managers, producers, Europe, Asia, all over, have access to that same database. So it's not just opportunities that could come from the United States, it could come worldwide. So if there are any locations that the city would like to have us promote, all we need from you is the appropriate pictures or this video, and we'll be happy to put it up at no cost on our website and promote that. Likewise, if there are events happening here, if there's news, if there's any filming, if there's any films that have been shot here, we would love to put that on our social media feed to let people know that film is not a stranger to Arizona and definitely not a stranger to Texas. So that's the first thing that the state can do. We can help you to promote the wonderful resources and locations that you have here. The second thing is a program that we've created called Real Deals. This is a voluntary program. Now, some of you who follow the film industry know that Arizona currently does not have a tax incentive program for the film industry. Before I go any further, I would like to say that there's been a change, and 2 weeks ago, when the Arizona Commerce Authority had its meeting for its next 5 years, there were 5 targeted established industries that Arizona recognizes: aerospace and defense, agriculture, the ones that we would expect. I'm happy to report that Governor Ducey has decided to add film and digital media as the 6th targeted industry to the state of Arizona. So we anticipate that there will be more coming here. Our film office was closed for 6 years. I was appointed film commissioner on December 1st, and already we've helped over 75 projects that come to the state. So our Real Deals program is our alternative to a tax credit. Basically what we do is we look to shift the burden of ruling the film industry from the public sector to the private sector. So Real Deals, people think I'm technically aware, and I'm usually not. Someone usually does this for me, or people say, you must understand camera. No. I was a producer in LA, which means I have no marketable skills other than who to call. So our program is a pro-business, free market program that allows the private sector to support the film and digital media industry. So what we've done is we've reached out to the industries that benefit when a project comes in from out of state. Hotels, rental cars, restaurants, production supplies, listed here. So what we've asked is that across our state, business owners who are interested in being a part of the renaissance of the film industry coming back to Arizona create a voluntary discount for filmmakers who come here. Now the advantage of this is most tax credits take anywhere from 2 months to 2 years to pay out. So if you're a major studio and you can borrow from yourself, that will work for you. But if you're an independent producer, commercial, what you often have to do is get a bridge loan to cover the reasons you're expecting. So we have vetted this program in New York and Los Angeles, and producers would much rather have a discount that is pre-negotiated up front than wait and hope that the legislature does not change its mind and the tax credit is there. So I would ask you and the City Council if there are any businesses here that would like to participate in this program. You contact me. It's voluntary. You decide what discount you would like to offer. We ask that it at least be a 10% discount. But anything that any business would like to offer to filmmakers, both out of state and in state, we'd love to have you register with the state office. So some of the differences: tax programs have a lengthy processing period. There's no processing. Once a production is registered with the state office, they get a registration number. They have access to the database of Real Deal vendors. It is not, most tax credits are a lengthy and complicated process. People can't tell you exactly how they work. This is a simple online registration, 5 questions. Most tax programs are capped. Only 7 states have an unlimited tax program. There is no cap on a discount from the private sector. There's often a lengthy review process. With us, there's no review process. Once you've been registered with the state program, you're eligible for these discounts. And most tax programs are obviously a government program, and this is a private sector program. And we believe that the private sector should be involved in moving the film industry. So if you are a business and you'd like to be registered with the Field Deals program, you simply go to our website, which is www.gofilmaz. You join our production directory as a support service business. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, another program that we have is a lot of the places where people would like to film are in more small towns and rural areas. And in those towns, there's not a designated film commission. So what we look to do is, ideally, in every town across Arizona, we will find a key person who understands the film industry, understands the local community, and with the blessing of the local government, can act as a goodwill ambassador for the film industry. These people will be listed on the state's website under film offices. So after the state film office or regional film officers, then the film resource coordinator. These are the ways that we feel that the state can help Douglas promote the wonderful resources that you have here. This promotion is free of charge. And we have, while like all state agencies, our budgets have been cut, we are blessed to have a very good marketing budget where we are able to constantly promote things that happen in the local towns, things done here, and the assets that you have, which will easily lend themselves to the film industry. So, Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Just a couple things, if you may, sir.
Sure.
First of all, I want to say thank you for coming down to Douglas.
My pleasure.
I have two items. One of which is a question/request. Do you have any press kits available for our local paper as well as possibly even radio to run this particular promotion, solicitations of representatives?
We do. We actually have a program called Wanted. Being a fan of the Old West, we created a Wanted poster, which we can send out to social media, and I will make sure my program manager gets that to you tomorrow.
Absolutely. And secondly, thank you so much. Just to give some background, and this really speaks to the power of our League of Cities and Towns conference. We had the great privilege, Mayor and myself, to meet with Mr. Jones on two separate occasions, one of which was at a cafe, if I remember correctly. And you gave us a lot of your time that particular day, and I want to say thank you on behalf of Mayor and Council, on behalf of our community for doing that. Because you could have had several people that you could have spoken to, but you singled in on us, and I really appreciate that. On the second occasion that you came to us, you said that you had given Douglas, and you went on your own good spirit, in your own thought, in your heart, and you told a representative to come and see us when it came to filming our borders. I want to thank you for that as well. These are not accidents. I don't believe that this is an accident that you're here today. And I want to thank you because it was a great, great opportunity for us to meet with you then. And it's a great opportunity. It's a new opportunity that we have here in our city. And I hope, Mr. Mayor, that we don't let it pass us by. Thank you so much for coming and visiting.
Well, thank you. And anytime you all invite me, I'm more than happy to come down and speak. And it's a beautiful town. I myself grew up in a small town in Connecticut, called a soft spot. And these are the kind of places that people like to film at. So anything the state can do to help bring some filming and some economic opportunities here, it's not only is it my job, but it's also my pleasure and my honor. Thank you.
Thank you for choosing us.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right. So, CYC President, you don't have to stay here for the entire meeting. Mr. Jones, you as well don't have to stay for the entire council meeting. I highly recommend that you visit the Gaffney Hotel right now, kind of drink there and everything else. So, but again, you're welcome to stay here as well.
Well, then actually, with your permission, sir, I think I'm going to go grab dinner.
Put it on the mayor's bill.
Yeah, Mr. Jones, before you head out, can we take a picture with you in the council here?
Of course, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones? And Mr. Jones is actually the half-brother of James Earl Jones, the one that says, Luke, I am your father.
You want to get him in?
Item number 9, discussion decision on consent agenda items.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I move that Mayor and Council approve consent agenda items as listed. As sub-item A, expenditures for the month of September 2017 totaling $1,885,504.38. Item B, meeting minutes for August 9, 2017 and September 13, 2017. Item C, Planning and Zoning Board, reappointment, Louis Garcia. And lastly, item D, Youth Activity Fund Committee, the resignation of Richard Pond, effective June 14, 2017, and the appointment of Ms. Terry Vera.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Morales, second by Councilmember Nelson. Roll call.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 9, discussion decision on approval of liquor license application series number 6, submitted by Nicholas DeCio Sylvain on behalf of Oasis Bar located at 507th Street. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, we have an application for liquor license for a Series 6 bar license at 507th Street. They did post for the required 20 days. All the fees have been paid, and we've had no opposition to the posting. So staff recommends approval of the liquor license.
May I have a motion?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move that Mayor and Council approve the liquor license application, series number 6, submitted by Nicholas DeGrio Silvain for Oasis Bar located at 507.
I'll second that.
Perfect. Motion by Councilmember Lopez, second by Councilmember Hewish. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Hewish?
on the application process, I'm not sure who can answer this, but in section 10 where it lists the nearest schools, for some reason it's listing schools in Bisbee. And that's because I know the transfer of this license is coming from Bisbee. I was just wondering if our schools needed to be, in churches, needed to be listed in that portion of the application, whether or not we need to make that note and pass this forward to the state.
I can answer that question, Mayor. I think we can approve it with a recommendation that when it goes out to the state that area be amended. That is the liquor license for the old Oasis, which basically has been grandfathered in for quite a while.
So we retract the motion that we have on the floor with the recommendation made by our city attorney?
It can be added to the motion, that is correct.
Okay. So we'll retract the motion that we have on the floor currently, or we just add the recommendation?
You can just add the recommendation.
Okay. All right. Then with the recommendation of Mr. Flores, roll call.
Ward 1,
No.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 10, discussion decision on approval of liquor license application Series 10, submitted by Robert Colton Sprouts on behalf of Giant Store number 911, located at 1107 10th Street. Mr. Flores? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Russell.
Mayor and Council, this is for liquor license, a Series 10 liquor license for beer and wine store, located at, I have 1807.
18, yeah, that's what I got, is 18.
1807 10th Street. The application was posted for its required 20 days, and all fees have been paid. No opposition has been brought before us for this license. Therefore, staff recommends approval.
You have 1807?
I have 1807 in my background.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move that mayor and council approve the liquor license application series number 10, submitted by Robert Coleman Sprouse for Giant Stores number 911, located at 1807 King Street.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember Lopez, second by Councilmember Hewish. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ward 1?
No.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 11, discussion decision on approval of liquor license application series number 10, submitted by Robert Colton Sprouts on behalf of Giant Store number 659, located at 101 East 16th Street. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, this is another liquor license for a Type 10 beer and wine store by the previous applicant as well, for a different location. It's 101 East 16th Street. The application was posted for the required 20 days. All fees have been paid, and no opposition has been received. Against the staff recommends approval.
May I have a motion to approve?
Mayor,
Ms. Lopez?
I move that mayor and council approve the liquor license application series number 10, submitted by Robert Coleman Sprouse for Giant Store number 659, located at 101 East 16th Street.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Councilmember Lopez, second by Councilmember Hewish. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ward 1?
No.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 12, discussion decision on approval of liquor license application, series number 10, submitted by Robert Colton Sprouts on behalf of Giant Store number 660, located at 1060 18th Street. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, this is another submitted by Mr. Coleman for a Series 10 beer and wine store license. This one is located at 1060 18th Street, 1060 18th Street. Again, it was posted for the required 20 days. All fees have been paid. No opposition has been received. Therefore, staff recommends approval.
May I have a motion to approve?
Mayor,
Yes.
I move that mayor and council approve the liquor license application series number 10, submitted by Robert Coleman Sprouse for Giant Store number 660, located at 1068 Street.
Is that you, Mr. Hewish?
I'll second it, yeah, but gosh, that guy, how many is it, that's the three of them?
There were three of them.
What's he doing, taking over the beer and wine program in Douglas?
Yes, three
Yeah,
stores.
I'll second it, man.
Motion by Councilmember Lopez, second by Councilmember Hewish. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ward 1?
No.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 13, discussion decision on approval of liquor license application, series number 7, submitted by Teresa June Morse on behalf of Pizza Hut Restaurant located at 316th Street. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, this is for the Pizza Hut that we have in town applying for a license for a Series 7 beer and wine license. Located at 316th Street. It was posted for its required 20 days. All fees have been paid. No opposition has been received, and staff recommends approval.
May I have a motion to approve?
Mayor,
Lopez?
I move that mayor and council approve the liquor license application series number 7, submitted by Teresa June Morse for Pizza Hut located at 316th Street.
Is there a second?
Second that motion.
Motion by Councilmember Lopez, second by Councilmember Hewish. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ward 1?
No.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 14, discussion decision on approval of liquor license application series number 12, submitted by Teresa June Morris on behalf of Pizza Hut, restaurant located at 316th Street. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, this is the final liquor license request for tonight. It is also with Pizza Hut for a type Series 12 liquor license. The posting was made for its prior 20 days. All fees have been paid and no opposition has been received. The staff recommends approval.
May I have a motion to approve?
Mayor?
Go ahead.
I move that mayor and council approve the liquor license application, series number 12, submitted by Teresa June Morris for Pizza Hut located at 316th Street.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Councilmember by Councilmember Lopez, second by Councilmember Hewish. And the floor is all yours, Mr. Hewish.
I guess I'm kind of ignorant in this, but what is the difference between a Series 7 and a Series 12?
I don't know, I'm going to use myself.
I can answer it.
Mayor, members of council, the difference, the 7 is the beer and wine. And then the 12 allows for a restaurant to serve, within their, the food that they prepare.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, the 12 is a what now?
The 12 is a restaurant. It's a restaurant being able to serve.
But it's saying beer and wine, there's nothing, in addition,
Right.
no hard, what we call hard liquor.
No, right.
Okay.
So the 7 would be limited to the bar area?
Yes.
12 allows them to go in.
Actually allows them to go in. All right, okay, thank you for the clarification.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Ward 1?
No.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Now it's the city business. Item number 15, discussion decision on approval of traffic study recommendation for 3rd Street and Pan American Avenue to leave the barricades in place or to authorize the city manager to pursue costs for the implementation of a traffic device along the impacts to the traffic entering the port of entry. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, we had a request from a business owner several months ago requesting us to remove the barricades that funnel the traffic off of 3rd Street into the port of entry. So I contacted the traffic engineer that actually was responsible for the changes, modifications, and replacement of Pan American, as well as contacting the traffic engineer for 3rd Street County myself, and brought both of those individuals and met with them, explained to them what we were wanting to consider, and spent a couple of hours with them taking a look at the various options. And the summary that they came back with is what I wanted to cover with you tonight. Essentially, their recommendation was that those barricades not be moved without some sort of traffic control device there on 3rd Street and Pan American. The reason being that you have east and westbound traffic on 3rd entering on Pan American. You have north and southbound on Pan American. And without any sort of control because of a high traffic area, you're just asking for trouble. You're going to have some accidents and some pretty serious ones at that. Therefore, they recommended that the funneling barricade remain in place unless council decided they wanted to take a look at some sort of traffic control device. However, that brings its own type of issue as well, especially during traffic time. As many of you know, many of you know, the cars can stack up all the way back to Chino Road from the 3rd Street point. If we remove that and we allow the access southbound on Pan American, that's just going to stack up on Pan American and create its own issues. Yes, we do have 2 other stoplights in place, one there in front of CVS on 8th and then on 10th Street. That would help control that, but as we all know, that we don't always become the most patient drivers, especially when there's a long line and we see an intersection and the light turns green, we're going to go through even though the last car in front of us is on the other side of that green light, and we're going to end up blocking the traffic so that the east and westbound traffic can't get across either one of those three intersections, and it'll be a nightmare. So I want you to seriously consider, or carefully consider, if you think that you want to explore that traffic control device. It's also going to have to include how to literally control the traffic all the way down Pan American. The second issue is going to be the northbound traffic. It's a very short, small stacking location for traffic coming through the border, coming northbound into Douglas. So if we put a traffic signal there, now we're actually backing up traffic all the way through the border itself, and we've done so much to try to make that much more easier passage and more timely passage. Now we're actually adding something that would potentially back that up all the way back into Mexico. So the recommendation that we have from the traffic study is to lay the barricade there, unless you want to look at some sort of traffic control device. I'm not convinced traffic control device would be beneficial as well. The third piece of this is the commercial traffic. There is a sign on the sign bridge that directs commercial traffic to go straight as it has prior to implementation of the Unified Cargo Processing Area. They did recommend that we remove that sign from the sign bridge and properly divert the commercial traffic around to the UCP inspection area. And I've already been in contact with Mr. Karchner from Public Works and asked him to begin working on that signage. That's an easy fix and one that definitely makes sense. Currently what's happening is that those commercial drivers who aren't familiar with that process, let's just give them that benefit of the doubt, are physically getting out and removing the barricades and driving past it and going down to the port and having to back out in order to go back into the proper channel. So it's causing some additional issues. So we're going to go ahead and divert those signs and take care of that issue. My direction request tonight is how you want to handle the diversion of traffic.
We have a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Kind of stuck here. I have comments, and I'd like to make a motion, but it's neither one of the ones that are provided. But my motion would be to leave the barricades in place as recommended in compliance with the recommendations of the previous authority that put them there, but to explore not a traffic signal, but can we explore possibly controlling traffic on 3rd Street to Pan American, maybe throttling it down, going westbound to a right-hand turn lane only at Watermark there. Therefore, we could remove the barricades, allowing access to his commercial business from southbound traffic, and nobody from 3rd Street going west would be able to go straight. It would be bundled right-hand turn only, kind of like we do on, what is it, International, at the port there. I would like something like that maybe to be evaluated.
Is there a second for that motion that Councilmember Nelson?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hewish. For discussion now, so explain the sort of traffic that you're hoping to see develop on Pan American.
Well, the issue is that southbound traffic is not able to make the left-hand turn into his business. A traffic control signal there would be a nightmare. Just for the location and the amount of traffic. But I don't know if we've actually looked at maybe 3rd Street coming south, throttling it down to a right-hand turn only. So all they can do when they get Pan American is turn right. So therefore, if they have to go down Pan American north and then flip a U-turn, or we put no U-turn signs there, but at least that business owner gets his traffic from southbound lanes, his traffic from northbound lanes, and he can still get traffic from 3rd Street.
Council members?
Yes, Mayor.
Yeah.
I actually met with the manager in question, the owner. I just want to make sure that we've addressed these concerns tonight. in particular the flow of traffic that and Mr. Nelson brings up some good points here. One of the other points that he had is just the ugliness. It looks like downtown Beirut over there, with those construction barricades. And I don't know if there'd be a way that we could actually make these more permanent and beautify the whole area, trees and actual islands and stuff like that. And possibly even take the tack of what we see on 15th Street, by Los Alamos restaurant, where we actually diverted the traffic on 15th Street going on to highway, was it G Avenue? And that's because before it used to be a thoroughfare right there. So are we addressing, if we do take this particular tack, as mentioned by Councilmember Nelson, would those concerns be addressed?
The beautification piece, no, I've not looked at that. Now that's certainly a consideration. If we decide to make those a permanent funnel for the traffic, I agree. It looks like it's been under construction since I've been here. We can certainly do something to beautify it. I don't know how much it would cost. I'd have to look into that piece of it, but it's something we can definitely do. And I would be in agreement of doing that and adding that to a street project at some point, or we're looking at some special projects. So I don't have a problem with that at all.
Now, the second half of that question was whether or not, as stated by Mr. Nelson here, would that flow of traffic, that directed flow of traffic, now that change, would it address the particular concerns in question and just alleviate the problems?
As I understand his initial concerns as they were presented to me, what he has in place is, as customers leave and wanting to go southbound back into Mexico, they're not wanting to drive all the way down to 5th Street, 5th to Chino to 3rd, and then back. It's a huge circle for them. So they're actually going down 3rd and making a U-turn, which is illegal. So if those customers are getting stopped, they're getting a citation for making an illegal U-turn. And his complaint was that they're coming across the border to get gas, and then they're getting tagged with citation on top of what they're paying for their fuel. But that was his issue of trying to correct that issue, allowing them, instead of going down 3rd and making an illegal U-turn, of just turning out his business onto Pan American and go straight south because the barricades would not be there. So it does not fix his initial concern that was brought to me. If we mandate that that's a right-hand turn only at that corner and at his place of business, it certainly keeps them from having to go across the street and making that U-turn, but force them to go down to 5th Street and then circle around back on Chino to 3rd. So that possibly could be a very viable solution for the fleet. It's not going to make it easier for his customers, but it's certainly going to prevent them from going and making the legal U-turn. I think that would be a viable option.
I would recommend that, Mr. Mayor, but I would also like to see, in this particular motion, an amendment, basically including the language to study a beautification project with removing the barricades and providing a permanent solution with trees and actual more permanent curbing.
You want nicer landscape in that side.
It's my ward, yes, sir.
Very good. So, can you add that language in there with?
I would ask to make a motion.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, I move that Mayor and Council amend that the motion as stated by Councilwoman Member Nelson to include beautification, study for beautification and permanent curbing.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by Councilmember Morales, second by Councilmember Nelson. Roll call.
Oh, you had a question. If I could.
Yeah.
The other part of the issue is that, if I remember right, Mr. Russell, was also, and this is probably way down the road, is in other port of entries that I've unfortunately had to encounter, they've had an ability to, on off-peak hours, be able to use that straight shot, for a lack of a better term, down Pan American, straight into Mexico, and then in peak hours, divert the traffic around the way it normally goes currently. And I don't know if that's way too costly. I'm not sure what would work in that area.
I don't know if that's much more of a headache, to look at, but that would be, to me, the most ideal situation. And I don't know if we're anywhere near being able to do that.
Well, excuse me, in order to work around that type of solution, number one, if you don't put some sort of barricade, movable barricade, whether it be pylons that come on to force that diversion of traffic at 7 in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning, and then from 3 to 6 or whatever. People are going to ignore that, and you're going to have people that are just going to be going down and doing what they want if all you're providing is signage. You have to prevent some sort of a training device to get them comfortable with doing that. That would be an additional expense, but it's certainly something that, I mean, we could take a look at that as well. I'll be happy to look at all of those options that we talked about tonight under the motion that we have.
There I envision these great pillars coming from the ground.
It could be hours. But it could be something as simple as one of those arms that come down. Right. And it's just kind of an arm, so that, either they're going to bust that arm and bust through it, or they're not. So, I mean, it's something that's certainly possible. We can take a look at.
And
it's all going to cost.
For me, I'd like to ask our Port of Entry project coordinator, Mr. Flores, whether or not do we need to involve the Port of Entry people to make sure that we're not stepping on any toes, or have they been involved?
If I could, I'm sorry, because I've had this conversation already, and I can tell you when this conversation I've already had. I've spoken with Margaret Montenegro about it. She was not as concerned with what we did with the private traffic as much as the commercial. She wants us, she's very much concerned about getting the commercial traffic diverted, because it was causing her problems when they moved those barricades and went straight to the port. Those guys were having to physically back those trailers back in order to get them over to the private cargo processing. So that was causing her staff additional work, additional time, and additional headaches. That was her concern at the time that I spoke to her. She wasn't as concerned about what we did with the private traffic, but that was a conversation I had with her.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add a clarification. Is the moving of the sign bridge included in that?
That's something that I'm doing anyway.
We're doing that, yeah. So we don't need to amend the amendment.
Correct. We're already taking care of that problem.
Any questions on that? No.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Manager, for pursuing this. And it's the first thing that people see when they're coming into Mexico and into the United States. So thank you very much for bringing this forward.
Roll call.
Mr. Mayor, just as a point of clarification, the roll call is for the amendment, for the main motion.
So this is for the main motion.
Mr. Mayor, it would be for the amendment, so it's placed on the floor by Councilmember Morales.
Okay.
And it would be for the study for beautification and permanent curbing.
Okay.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4? Yes. Ward 5? Yes. Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. And then we have the second motion.
That's correct.
Roll call.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4? Yes. Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 16, discussion decision on approval of third reading of ordinance number 17-1075, an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Title 8 of the City of Douglas Municipal Code, and specifically Chapter 8, titled Solid Waste Collection and Disposal, establishing severability of components, or ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof. Mr. Russell?
Excuse me, Mayor and Council, this is third reading for the automated trash collection system. As it was discussed during the last council meeting, it was tabled so that it gave us some opportunity to do some education processes and pieces to the public and kind of explain the way the process is going to work. Since that time, I met with Lee at the Douglas Dispatch, and she has written two. Well, you did one actually kick them off. But three very, very informative articles that have been put within the Douglas Dispatch for the last month. We did some Q&A posting on Facebook, as well as the Douglas Dispatch sharing our Q&A post, placing it on the website. So we've done everything that we can to answer the questions that have been presented, anticipate some questions that might be in the heads of the public, and to get the information out. We'll continue that process, if approved tonight, as we begin to move forward with the evidence collection.
We have a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, move that Mayor and Council approve the third reading of ordinance number 17-1075 by number and title only.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by Councilmember Morales, second by Councilmember Nelson. Any discussion?
Mr. Russell, have you gotten any feedback from the folks in the dispatch? Has anybody contacted you about this?
No, I've not had any personal contact to me. I've through the social media, I've received a lot of positive feedback on the information. Thanking the city for providing it. But I've not received any personal contact.
I did get another concern, and it was about the school. You know, the garbage can being in front and the school. You know, they think that, you know, kids are going to play with the garbage, or there's going to be more garbage in that area.
Well, the commercial traffic, the commercial collection will be located in the same place that it's at now. It's not being pulled to the front of the street. So if they have the dumpsters that are back by the cafeterias or in the back of the school, that's where the new dumpster will be as well. They're not going to change location for the commercial traffic.
Mr. George?
I guess this is something that I would probably receive more phone calls than anything that we've had before. And I guess what my concern is that not a one of all the phone calls that I received was in favor of it. They're all against it, and I just don't feel good about voting for this because it's to me there's lots of people that are really concerned, and I not only have people from my ward but from other wards who have called, and like I said, I was in hopes that maybe I'd get one or two that were for it, but I didn't. So that's my concern there.
Thank you, Mr. Yosh.
Mayor? Mr. Russell, why didn't you hold a public forum?
Why didn't we hold a public informational forum? I can't answer that question.
Good question. There's a lot of people that, you know, before there used to be like, they used to be announced that you could come in and discuss about this. I know.
Mr. Russell, I do have several questions regarding the item. In the Q&A, and in the previous also council meeting, you mentioned that you were willing to meet with the public to educate them, and that it would be a gradual change, right? That it wasn't going to impact the city as a whole. Right. We're going to start, and can you kind of walk us through that process of where it's going to start, the cost saving, how long we've been preparing for this? Just for the record, I think it's important for the public to know.
Certainly. As we started doing a little background investigation on this ourselves, I found that there was an actual study that was done on this specific topic back in 2005. And many of the items that they found in that study and suggested the reason for moving forward with the automated study is the things that we've already talked about and the studies that it had. Over the last 5 years, we have spent a little over $250,000 in workers' compensation costs, which essentially eliminates that risk. We've asked our insurance company to perform a study that if we move to this automated process and eliminate the position that creates all of the heavy lifting or heavy lifting, what that would do with us. Currently, our insurance places that at out of risk, meaning that the risk is so high that we are not adequately funded to provide the required payment of costs if an injury, if a serious injury occurs. Out of the last 5 years, the most costly injury that we've had was a little over $100,000 for an injury. So by eliminating that position, the insurance company says we will come back down to an acceptable risk, and that our funding adequately covers that risk. We are going to be able to.
Is anyone losing their jobs?
No, no one's losing their job. The position, by going through the automated trucks themselves, it actually creates a couple of new positions. By having our own trash containers, we have to maintain those containers, we have to service them. So we'll have those types of positions and work available. So no one's going to be losing their job at all. The rollout will be done in 3 phases, beginning in January. The first phase, and sorry, I did not bring that rollout phase, but essentially it's from like about 23rd Street, 22nd Street, somewhere in there, north, and everything from east to west. It'll cover the Sulphur Springs area where we have residential locations over there. The second phase goes basically from about 8th Street to, I think it's actually 15th and north, and then 8th and 15th. And then the third phase, which we, sometime in the summer, they're about 3 months apart in each phase, would be the final area from International to 8th. That's giving us some time to really work with those residential customers, because that's where the bulk of the alley traffic is going to stay. So we need to work with them, because they literally do not have driveways to park in. So all of those houses parked in the street. We have to figure out how we're going to work that collection, whether it be alleyway or so we'll be working with that section last and making sure that everybody's informed on that.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I also, along with Councilmember Hewish, have received many calls, and to sum them up, they are not in favor of changing the current setup as we have it, and not trying to say that one call is more important than another call. However, the people that have contacted me are people that are well known in the community, that have, I'm sure, discussions with other people in the community. And not that they necessarily represent them, but they are ones that are involved and know what's going on in the community, and they have been 95% not in favor of this. So even though I personally am very much in favor of it, I think it would be beneficial to the community. I find it hard to vote in favor of it based on listening to the constituency that I have in my own personal ward, and also some that live outside my ward, but felt confident enough to be able to approach me and express their concerns. And again, I give that a little bit more weight, just due to the individuals, the type of individuals that have contacted me.
Thank you, Mr. Hewish. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I did have one constituent approach me, and he was in favor of it. However, his concern was, based upon what he had seen in Sierra Vista, was some of the damage that had been done to their receptacles. In just driving by real quick, the drivers would, as quickly as they could, basically reposition the container without actually allowing it to land. And so that caused some damage that, according to our particular policy, the homeowner would actually have to eat. So he asked that we would make sure that we would enforce somehow within our employees, that they would ensure, if there would be penalties or whatever, but that there would be an assurance that would not happen. So then, aside from that, I just wanted to read a statement that I posted online as well, just for the benefit of the community and for the record. Now, I have been stationed in several locations. Douglas is the only place that I've ever been stationed in that doesn't have automated trash collection. So I'm coming from an experience of where I've seen people of all ages, from little kids to elderly, rolling their 96-gallon containers with absolutely no problem whatsoever, or for their sanitation department getting off and actually doing it for them according to agreement. So to me, it's actually foreign to come back to something like this where we don't have that. So it's 2017, as one commentator posted, welcome to 2017. Cities have been doing this for years already. So if I may, Mr. Mayor. I encourage those who are vehemently opposed to this progressive initiative to put their own backs, shoulders, and hands in those of our sanitation crew members. Extrapolate that over years and years of repetitive motion, overexposing them to sharps and injuries, and overexposing our city to workmen's compensation claims, as was mentioned, $100,000. Sure, it's the work they signed up for, but we can work smarter than harder. We had a chance to do this years ago, but to date we have exposed our city and our crew members to these claims and injury risks. If Nogales has been doing it with their hilly terrain for years, as evidenced by a 2012 official press release for expanding curbside collection to include recyclables, then we can advance here in Douglas. They no doubt had their share of opposition, like we always do with any type of change, but 5 years ago they were expanding it to include recyclables. I urge my fellow council members to vote for the third reading of this ordinance. And if we have any questions, we can also just ask the city manager, as have been posted on that particular post. And I just want to list some of the initiatives. New pavement on city streets, new city website, new city youth council, new sold out events, new traditions, new progress with our port of entry, new arts and cultural district, new state of the city address, new potential for a recreational lake, to name some advancements in this past year alone. God has blessed us with much progress as a city team and as a family. Let's advance our future as a team and as a family even more with this initiative in this most basic of public service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Morales.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I would also like to express appreciation to Mr. Russell and Ms. Ayala for the dispatch of more very informative and very precise and clear articles regarding this initiative.
Would you like to share?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to clear, as far as the ordinance is concerned, regarding
replacement of the can, normal wear and tear, the way the ordinance reads, it would be the city's responsibility to do so. And even after the life expectancy of the can, it's still the city's responsibility. It's not expected for the customer to take over the payment of those cans. The only thing written on the ordinance that would have the customer be responsible if there's direct damage caused by the property owner to the can that makes it unstable or unable to function. That's when there's a responsibility on the property owner. But not if it's through normal wear and tear, or if the can falls when the arm drops it or something. It would be the responsibility of the city.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza. Roll call?
Point of order, I do have some.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes. You mean first?
Yes, sir.
Someone else at the bottom. Can anybody hear? How about there?
No.
Okay, I, came back to Douglas, Arizona to be a service to the community, and I worked 42 years to build the kind of home that I wanted to retire in. And I built my house so it would be cosmetically beautiful, and there's no way that a container can be brought from the backyard to the front yard. So what I'm gonna be living with now is a trash container sitting on the front of my house 24/7. That's what I did envision for myself. Another thing is, talking about time, I bagged my trash in three of those 60-gallon things. I timed the trash collector 10 seconds. It didn't even look like he was coming right through. They opened the gate, throw them out, close the gate, they're gone. Ask them how long it takes to take care of my trash in the alley. The problem that you have, you never enforce the ordinance of the people to clean their alleys. If you had done that, all the alleys would be clean, and there wouldn't be any trash in there, and there wouldn't be any problems for you. This city was built on trash collection in the alley, and according to the paper, the people that are going to bear the expense of the businesses, and the businesses are closing down. And the more fees you put on businesses, the more they're going to be shut down. And that is a problem that you're going to have in the future. They keep on going down. I have two metal hips. If I put 3 35-pound bags in that container and have to drag it from the front to around the medicine, around the avenue, to bring it up to the front, I don't think I can move a 100-pound trash collector. And if I break my leg because I have two metal hips, it's going to be your responsibility. I'm letting you know I can't do it. And they say that there was only 25 people or 30 people that did it. I was not asked. Who did the survey? I see that on item 15, there was a long study. How come there wasn't a long study on this one? One constituent told me, he says, can I attend a meeting on when you're doing this study? And they said, no, I know what you were doing. We don't need you. That's what one constituent. I can bring the constituent to you if you don't believe me. I'm telling you the truth. That's about what I have to say. But you can throw me out if I'm going to say, we're going to light the deed tomorrow for the triennial. Rotary is responsible for everything. We bought the paint, we got the cans, we got the kerosene, Rotary members, and we're very fortunate that the past president of DOC arranged all of the stuff to make it safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want anybody.
Ms. Gomez, would you like to say a few words?
No, I recorded for.
Oh, you
He said everything, but also, I said it, I have sciatic, I have 2 bum knees, I'm gonna have surgery.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be able to push the garbage.
Did you want to get up here on the podium or you're?
No, I'm going to
Okay.
sit here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just want to make a few other statements. I was hearing that the cost of workers' compensation was high in sanitation. Was there a cost comparison study done for the police, fire, parks department, and other employees? And if there was, why doesn't the public know these things? You know, we can't make a solid decision unless we have all the data in front of you. And I'm going to ask you that the only prudent course of action to be taken tonight is to table this item indefinitely, so that we can have ward meetings, public hearings, and a comprehensive survey to find out if the people really do want this, or if it's just something that is in the sky, and I don't rely on 12 years, studies done 12 years ago. That's just silly. Next, I had an argument, not everyone in this town relies on social media. In fact, I'm thinking that 10% of people do that. Not everybody here is on Facebook all the time, and I just don't understand why you think that's how to disseminate information. I've been in education for over 30 years, and I know that if you want to talk to the parents or put information out, you have to do a multi-level approach. And I don't think that you've done that. I don't think that this proposal is even a solid proposal. And finally, I want you to have empathy for the people. And not all disabled people are elderly, and you're going to impact them. And there are some people here that pay taxes, that pay their rates, but don't vote, and they will still be impacted, and that's not fair. And I think that basically what Dr. Gomez said was, your house is built like that. If you go around the community and you look at the front yards, many people have spent a lot of time landscaping, but they have narrow little sidewalks and fences, and they're not going to be able to pull the garbage can through there and put it on the street. It's just not going to happen. And I really want you to think about that, and let's table this motion so that we can have more comprehensive study. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Condiment. Ms. Robles?
My name is Olga Robles, address 898th Street. I've lived in this city. I was born here, I was raised here, I've been here all my life. And I can tell you that the way we read our Pledge of Allegiance, justice for all, no, not in what the way this city is being run now. It's not justice for all. I called our city manager and I talked to him at length about this. I asked him if I could be one of them to just listen in to the meetings that they had. He said no, that only administration was taking care of it. Fine. But you know what? For something this important, you should have public forums. And each councilman should have a public forum. Yes, it's on the internet, it's on the web, yes. Not everybody has computers, and not everybody can afford the internet. I'm telling you, you are very unjust to the citizens of Douglas when you don't take the responsibility to take a few minutes and have a public forum, have the people come here, discuss what their problems are. As for me, I've had 3 laminectomies. I have 3 back surgeries. I can't be hauling anything around. But I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking for all other citizens in Douglas. Douglas was planned by people that planned it right. This is why we have the streets the way we do, the avenues the way we do, the alleys the way we do. Let's use our alleys. Let's not abandon them. What are you going to have this receptacles in front of the streets, in front of the avenue? Look at the way our alleys look now. And why do they look like that? Because we have an ordinance that says that the renter or the owner of that property must take care of half of the alley and half of the street in the front of them, or half of the avenue, they use the avenue. Have you seen people doing that here in Douglas? You know why you don't see it? Because nobody enforces the ordinance, that's why. And don't tell me that there's gonna be a law, an ordinance that's gonna be enforced to help a senior citizen carry this garbage out. Don't tell me that. It's not gonna happen. It'll happen the first few weeks and that's it. I think this should be tabled or just forgotten about. I think this is a terrible proposition that you have for Douglas. Maybe people in cities that have a lot of money can afford it. We can afford it.
Thank you, Ms. Robles.
Thank you.
Ms. Cambridge?
Thank you, Mayor and the Council, Dr. Farms. I would like to make comments on the trucks. You're going to be buying new trucks that is needed for the city, but it's costly right now the way the economy is here in Fresno. Another one is a bigger truck. If you're going to use the alleys with a bigger truck, I don't think those trucks are going to be able to go into some of the alleys that we have right now. Then I could see that we're going to be cutting jobs if they don't get the revenue in. Then the garbage fees are going to be increased. Some of these people in other wards can't even pay right now their garbage or their water fees. So what, are we going to put another burden on them? Then some of the residents will still be using the alleys, throwing the garbage in there. Then the garbage will be on the street curb. Okay, you're going to create an extra route for the people or for the garbage personnel. They have to go up the street, come back on the same street down, because they can't cover unless they're going to let them jump back and forth on the street. And another comment that I have is you should go to Washington and Rock Forks Road and see the dump that's being created there on that Douglas Lake. You should drive up there and see. I see it every day. I'm seeing people going in there and dumping trash. It's getting bad up there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cambridge. Mr. Sabal?
Mr. Mayor and City Council, I'm here to oppose this ordinance. Douglas has had alleys for a long time. There are depositories in each home in the alleyway to deposit your bags and your containers. Disabled elderly people cannot handle these containers. And for some reason, some of these gates that these houses have cannot allow the containers in and out of the property. They are too small, the fences are too small. The backyards, the containers in the backyards sit comfortably until the garbage, people pick it up at 5:30 in the morning on Monday morning and on Thursday morning. They do a hell of a job in my area. These people are responsible, and I thank the maintenance department and the garbage department for doing such an excellent job, especially around 9th or 10th and B. I'm more interested and concerned about the elderly people that cannot handle these receptacles. They have homemade what I'm trying to say, the homemade portables that lead in and out of their home, and they cannot bring these containers through their house or outside their home. I read that in some areas, like Tucson, animals have been thrown in these receptacles, and cats also. They have been set on fire, they have been damaged. And as what was said, the homeowner, if these containers and receptacles are damaged, the homeowner is responsible to replace them. Am I correct?
If the homeowner is the cause of the damage to the container, yes.
Okay. If someone damages and knocks them down, am I responsible? And damages the container?
No, sir. No.
I'm not responsible.
If not the homeowner, if the homeowner did not commit the damage, no, you would not be responsible.
Okay, and how can I prove that?
There's an investigation, obviously, and we would probably give the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's obvious when
So we have 30 seconds? 30 seconds?
Okay. Am I up?
But he's finishing his explanation, but there is, well, there's 30 seconds, but, you know, that's something that, you know, we're gonna have to, this is why we're here, we're having this discussion.
With your permission, Mayor, what I'm trying to say is the ramps.
Sure.
There's homemade ramps by people that can't afford one professionally done. And these containers cannot fit on the ramps. I'm more concerned with the elderly, with the indigent, and with the people who need help from our community. And I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr.
I'd like to have this voted down if at all possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council.
Ms. Morales?
Good evening. I guess I'm the only one that's going to be different. Not all homes have alleys. Our church is located in the 1600 block on 20th Street. All those homes do not have an alley. We are used to taking our trash to the curb. My name is Maria Morales, also known as Lucy Vesper Morales, and I live at 2145 East 12th Street, here in Douglas. I've been a resident of Douglas for 78 years. That's how old I am. I am here to comment on the new waste management program that is being planned for the city of Douglas. My husband and I have lived in various cities in the United States, and it seems that we have always had to take our garbage to the street first. But we lived in Omaha, Nebraska. We lived in an old Italian neighborhood, and the house we rented did not have an alley. So we're used to that. We did not complain, but we complied. Later, we bought a home south of Omaha, Nebraska, a nice, beautiful subdivision in Ralston, Nebraska. There also, none of those homes had an alley. So we took our large garbage cans to the curbside in deep snow or ice during the winter months. We're grateful to have good weather here. It seems to me that by implementing this new system, it will bring our city up to date with other cities as well. Take for instance, I think it was mentioned, Nogales and the Rolling Hills, people have to take their garbage cans to the curb. We are fortunate we don't have Rolling Hills or mountains. My daughter lives in Huntsville, Alabama, and they also do not have, in that nice, beautiful subdivision, they do not have alleys. And like I mentioned, we don't have any alleys on 16th Street, on 20th Street. For the most part, I do believe that Douglas homes are built nearer to the street than their alleys, making it more convenient, taking it to the alley because it is closer to than taking it to the alley. Also, I feel for the personnel that picks up our garbage twice a week and have to deal later on in life with bag problems. My husband tells me, don't load the garbage can so much because the garbage collectors have to deal with it. We are considered elderly. My husband is 82 and I'm 78. I've had 2 back surgeries. I'm paying and I'm in pain almost all the time. But I can still push a grocery cart at the store. So I don't see any problem pushing a garbage can that has rolling wheels. So,
Change and challenges are exciting. I was taught early in life that I should welcome all kinds of challenges and changes in life because otherwise how I experience things in life. And Douglas is no exception to changes that is for the good, especially for our dedicated garbage collectors that pick up every resident's garbage cans twice a week, hundreds of them, not only mine, but all of ours. Thank you for listening and thank you for the wonderful changes we see happening in our city.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. So, now, do we have any more requests? I think that was it, no? So we go on roll call now.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
If I may, real quick. A lot of points have been brought up, and a lot of those points have been addressed. A lot of it is actually misinformation, in my opinion. And those items have been addressed by manager here. 78, 82 years old, both of them are actually on Facebook. A lot of our population is on Facebook, but I would encourage, the manager to, and for the dispatch to also publish that frequently asked questions in depth so that, for the benefit of our community, because a lot of these items that were mentioned were actually addressed by our manager pretty thoroughly, and a lot of it is actually misinformation. And I would just ask those who are opposed to it, if we were to vote it down, which I hope we don't, we're asking the city to assume all that risk. $100,000. Am I correct? That was the compensation claim. That was for one claim, $100,000. And I would ask for those of you who are opposed to put yourself in the shoes of our trash collectors. If we vote this down, we're essentially, basically not sympathizing with our employees, with our team members, our valued members. We're exposing them to sharps, we're exposing them to overuse, and that's actually a lack of sympathy given the technology that we have.
Mr. Mayor, before you go to a vote, if I could respond to a couple of those pieces that truly are misinformation. As far as passing the cost along to the business owners, that's a misconception because of timing. The increase that is being placed on the commercial collection was not in place because of this process. It was put into place because of the vote by the rate review committee that governs the trash collection across Cochise County. They increased their rates, and those rates, unfortunately, have to be passed along to the consumer. We are opting not to raise the residential rates, which were also raised by our collection facility. But we're choosing not to do that at this point in time to alleviate that stress off of the citizens themselves. But it's just a coincidence in time that the rate review for Cochise County trash collection actually made that increase at the same time that we're looking at this process. They have nothing to do with each other. The rate increase is going to happen regardless of whether we go forward with the automatic collection itself. So, or the electrical council to consider. So that's independent. The second piece, I did speak with Mrs. Robles, and I explained to her that as far as the disabled and the other, we do have a program in place that we will provide that assistance. We will physically go and get the trash can and bring it to the dump, to the truck, and we will dump it and take the can back to her location.
I hear you.
However, I do want to help to understand is that we're not asking anybody to pull the cart or to push a cart. It's on wheels, and it moves very, very smoothly, very easily, regardless of what type of surface that it's rolling on. So it's not going to be anything that's going to be difficult for you to maneuver itself. And then the third piece was the fact that of the social media. You're correct. Not everybody reads social media. My number of readers on our city's Facebook page is 1,300 out of a city of 16,000. So I understand that. That's why we go to the Douglas Dispatch. That's why the Douglas Dispatch did a great job of providing every bit of this information that was put here as a reason not to vote tonight, of countering that with the truth in the dispatch. But we can't make people read. We can't make people become informed of those things. So We put the information out, we've done our best to investigate. Did we hold town hall? No, I didn't. Would that have been a good idea? Possibly could have been. Would I have changed anybody's mind? I don't think so. It comes down to the simple fact that some people just resist change. They're unsure of change and unsure. And I have a lot of respect for everybody who's sitting in this room. Everyone who's sitting in this room, I have a lot of respect for. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but a lot of people just resist change. They don't understand it until they actually see it. I've implemented this program before in the city of Walton. We had the exact same resistance, but I can promise you, by the time we got through phase one, people were begging for the trash cans because of the process. You just have to make your decision based off of what's best for the city. And I trust you to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Roll call?
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
No.
Ward 4?
No.
Ward 5?
No.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries.
Notice to Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Title 8 of the City of Douglas Municipal Code, and specifically Chapter 8.16 titled Solid Waste Collection and Disposal, establishing federally of component performance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Item number 17, discussion decision on approval of third reading of ordinance number 17-1076, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the city to accept unimproved real property as part of a settlement in the litigation with National Investment Company, more particularly described as TRACT. C. Cochise College Park, Unit 9, Coronado Lake State in Cochise County, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof. Mr. Russell, Mr. Flores.
Thank you very much, Mayor. This is the last piece, the last component of the settlement in the Kelly claim, as I had explained to members of council on previous occasions. The city incurred a certain level of liability, and through the insurance attorneys as well as work that I did, we were able to resolve it in the best case scenario. We believe that particular arrangement is best of when you evaluate all the components and all the different variables, it's the best solution, the best interest of the city. It will allow the city to manage that liability, manage that water management duty and capacity. It gives us the ability to get a handle on the particular liability that's caused by that overflow. I've spoken in detail with Mr. Karchner. He believes that the retention pond could be made viable and sustainable, thereby containing the water liability in the neighborhood of expenditure of about $20,000. He believes also that a public facility, a park, could be had for a neighborhood between $100,000 and $200,000. Of course, I've spoken with Mr. Russell. He is also looking to get some grant funding from the state to reduce those costs. And at the end of the day, administration is recommending this settlement, which is not going to cost the city any out-of-pocket expenditures at this time, but in the future it will entail some expenditures to get a hold of the liability component from the water runoff. Thank you, Mayor. I will entertain questions.
May I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, move that Mayor and Council approve the third reading of ordinance number 17-1076 by number and title only, with modifications as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. Motion by Councilman Morales, second by Councilman Hirsch. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I didn't know Mr. Morales.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Was that 20,001, Mr. Flores? I apologize. Was that the cost of that property? Is that what that 20,000 number you threw out? I did catch the first part of that.
The 20,000 number that I threw out was the cost that is anticipated by the Public Works Department in order to make the water retention pond sustainable to hold the runoff in order to prevent flooding into the neighboring property.
So that property, what is the value of that property, the assessed value of that property that you're trying to?
As far as the assessed value, I don't have that particular number, but we did have the property evaluated and appraised, and it was less than $20,000 for the cost of that property. And then we use that value for litigation purposes as well.
Okay. As you're aware, we have the property at A Avenue in Washington, on the east side of the A Avenue there. We had to secure that area to keep people out of the water, mud bogging, because it was a liability. If this passes and this is accepted today, what are our plans? What is going to be the cost? That area will have to be secured immediately once it becomes a done deal, to keep people, because they quad in there, they're dumping trash, whatever they're doing. What are we going to do to secure that area?
I'm not aware of the immediate needs for securing that area. That has not been explored by my office. I'm also not aware of the garbage situation, and I was there, that Mr. Ambrose mentioned. I was on the property roughly about a week ago to inspect it. There is some partial fencing. I would suspect that in order to secure it and place a fence around it, it would be an expenditure probably between $5,000 to $8,000 just to link up with the existing fencing and wire that's already existing.
Yeah, because I have seen do right four-wheelers in there, some quads, so it would have to be fenced and mostly.
There are some trails I've seen, I guess, Mr. Nelson.
Just to ask a question, so are people in there, like, you know, disturbing?
They're actually going into the water retention basin when the water was down a little bit and there's mud there, and they ride their quads and everything through there, which we wouldn't want to have that happening if the city's property. I guess you said $20,000 for flood control going forward was one of my questions. The thing is that retention basin, even though it has held the water and it hasn't flooded, there is always potential for that basin to fail, to the levee break, and flooding occurring. If the city owns that property, at that point, we're liable for all of that.
Mr. Nelson, there's quite a bit of truth in most of those statements. As a matter of fact, I've been monitoring that particular retention basin since the onset of the litigation. My knowledge, since litigation started roughly about 2.5 years ago, that retention basin had overflowed probably about half dozen times. 2 were rather major that I'm aware of. Now, just to simplify the process, what Mr. Karchner is talking about is making the retention basin slightly deeper and fortifying, building up the berms. So we would take the dirt, just basically pile it up higher, making the hole deeper, increasing the capacity to hold water. So that would be the initial expenditure. Now, that's a conservative estimate on his part, and he estimates that making it deeper and making the berms higher will retain that water and will prevent, obviously, the flooding that you mentioned. But you're correct. I mean, we have no way of predicting the weather. There's a lot of strange weather we've had over the years, but obviously we're going to have to do best practices and do what's reasonable and prudent under circumstances. And obviously, we have the personnel. We have an engineer on board that's going to do what he can with that.
Okay, clarification, you said for $200,000 approximately, you could turn that into a city park that would be able to have a recreational area in a floodplain, in a flood zone, in a wash. and everybody would be safe, and nothing will get washed away if we have a big rain or a big flood. For $200,000, we can accomplish that?
I think that was a conservative estimate, that would be on the outside. I spoke with Mr. Karchner, before the meeting, we talked it over, we talked about it in the past. And those are the numbers we're working with, and obviously, like we mentioned, we will be seeking grant funding for that.
Okay, last question I have is, actually, the last question and comment. I know the NBC insures the golf course, which currently holds the only water recreational areas that the city of Douglas has. Those are insured now by the NBC insurance. Does the city of Douglas still have insurance that covers recreational water use, or will we have to increase insurance to cover that area?
I would suspect that that's going to be another component, a new component to our insurance paperwork.
My last comment is, I was just going through these last two things, where we had the $20,000, we had the $8,000 for fencing, another $200,000 turned into a park, and then insurance. And I think we have better options. I'm all for a recreational lake. I'm all for using the recreational lake, however small it is, incorporating that into our city, and letting people experience fishing and stuff with what we already have. And I've always said that's a possibility and it's something we should look into. I just don't think that this is the best option for us as a city, and in the best interest of the city, to get this specific property and where it sits, and the liabilities and issues it presents, just for the fact that it's a retention basin and handles runoff.
Thank you, Councilmember Nelson, for sharing a lot of your wisdom and concerns with us. Councilmember Morales?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I do have a question, actually. Maybe Mr. Karchner could answer this as well. Currently, is there any diversion right now into that particular pond? Is there any diversion right now? I don't know if anybody can answer that.
Yes.
There is. What is the actual means by which water is being diverted right now into that retention basin?
Well, it receives flow from the east as well as from the north.
Okay, so it receives it from the east as well as from the north. Is that through culverts, or how is that handled?
Drainage ditches that are constructed by the county and by developers.
Okay. How feasible is it for us to actually divert more water and to possibly even pump water? Is it possible? Like, what is the grade, and what are the engineering challenges that we would face by doing that?
Well, the main thing is to reduce the slope so that it's not a falling, a tripping hazard, and get it down deeply enough that so that it can't wash out. If you get a big enough hole, fill it up with water, well, it can't leave that hole until it gets over the neck. So I would put more of the storage below the natural grade, and then put a great deal of reinforcement into the banks that are left there, and then force it to have to back out through the upstream side of the berm and walk and go around it in a protected channel so that they don't ever erode. So we can make it permanent.
And how feasible is it to divert more water to pump from other areas in our city that actually flood? Is there any chance that we could do that, or we have to have a separate site for that?
That won't work.
Okay. So we'd have to actually consider possibly a separate site for that in the future.
This thing was constructed as a retention basin over 50 years ago, and the flooding that occurred at the golf course would have been far worse without this pond there. It does what it's supposed to do. Not nearly as well as it can be made to do, but I think we can make it quite safe. We fence it to keep the vehicles out of it. That's the biggest problem. And I think we can make it where it's a good, safe recreation facility.
Oh, I think it's a start, so I think it's a gift at this point. So.
Great. Awesome. Any other comments? Roll call?
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
No.
Ward 3?
No.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries.
An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Purchase County, Arizona, authorizing the city to accept unimproved real property as part of a settlement in the litigation with National Investment Company, more particularly described as Tract C, Cochise College Park Unit 9, Coronado Lake, Estates in Cochise County, establishing severability of conformance ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Item number 18, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 17-1245, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the acceptance of a grant funding in the amount of $2,500 from the Legacy Foundation of Southeast Arizona for the staff's education. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, please inform you that the Parks and Leisure Services did apply for a Fast Pitch grant funding that was done through the Legacy Foundation. This grant is specifically for use for staff training for the softball area, which we oversee, and we were happy to be able to receive that grant, and we'll be applying it to our staff training needs.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 17-1245.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Hewish, second by Councilmember Nelson. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4? Yes. Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries.
Mr.
Mayor.
Yes. I need to recuse myself, since I'm an APS employee for item 19.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson is leaving at 7:47. We hope to see him back in the next couple minutes. Item number 19, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 17-1246, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the acceptance of a grant funding in the amount of $3,500 from the corporation given arm of Arizona Public Service to be used for recreational and civic activities in the city of Douglas, Arizona. Mr. Russell.
Mayor and Council, the City of Douglas Administration Department applied for some grant money from APS, the giving arm branch of that, and we were happy to let you know that we did receive that funding. Out of that $3,500, we have $500 that was donated for specifically for the Mexican baseball fiesta that we held. The City Youth Council will receive $1,500. The annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony that we hold will be receiving $1,000, and then they're offering some $500 worth of in-kind printing for us, which will be utilized for various events.
Great, thank you, Mr. Russell. Now have a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish.
I move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 17-1246.
Second, Ms. Lopez.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hewish, second by Councilmember Lopez. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just for clarification, the breakdown was part of the application or part of, after we received the funding amount?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Hewish, the breakdown was awarded by APS. It wasn't requested as such. The initial request was for $5,000, and they approved $3,500 with this particular breakdown.
Any other discussion? Comments? Roll call.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Let's
Mr. Nelson?
go ahead and get Ms. Nelson. Ms. Nelson back at 7:50. We're moving on to item number 20, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 17-1247, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the application on moored vehicle for use by the Douglas Police Department from the program 1033 under the Arizona State Plan of Operation to continue to ensure local public safety. And it was amended. Is that correct, Ms.
That's
President?
correct, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarification for the mayor, and council to be aware, the language on the title was modified, and the word acceptance is application instead, and the number 1013 has been modified to like number 1033. And so once the motion is placed, it should be approving resolution 17-1247 with modifications as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Vangela. Mr. Russell?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, we wanted to make sure that you understood that we were applying for this, and we haven't actually received them or accepted them. So, basically what we have, in front of you is the opportunity for us to receive some vehicles through federal funding program, through the National Defense Authorization Act. They essentially have surplus equipment that they offer to law enforcement agencies, such as the City of Douglas Police Department, and we have the ability to apply for some of these vehicles and participate in this program. In the attachments that you received as part of the package, you can see some pictures of the assault vehicle that the Douglas Police Department would like to apply for. This can be used, especially in this part of the country, for any type of riot type activity or anything along those lines. It could potentially be very useful for our police department. So we're requesting that you approve the resolution.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish?
I move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 17-1247 with modifications as discussed.
Second.
Mr. Hewish? It seems like Ms. Morales gave you a break there. Would you like to second that? Yeah. Okay. Motion by Councilmember Hewish, second by Councilmember Hewish. Any discussion? Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Funding will come from which source?
Source of the funding?
This should start if it would be RICO funding. That's what I wanted to hear.
I'm sure the chief would be happy to have those vehicles on the road here.
I had the same assumption that it was RICO. I just wanted to see it in writing myself before I said that. So,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I also understand that you have put in first dibs to write in it in the parade. On the front cover?
It's a gas gun. I want him on the hood.
If we have any more issues like that, maybe on the hood.
Roll call.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say something real quick. This is a great application. I love this. Anytime that we can provide cover to law enforcement and possibly even other first responders is a great move. So I applaud Chief and City Manager for all those involved in this particular solicitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morales.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 21, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 17-1248, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the city of Douglas Police Department to accept grant funding and enter into an agreement with the state of Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety for reimbursable grant in the amount of $22,890 to pay for the personnel overtime expense and employee-related expenses for the DUI task force activities under the state-funded grant program. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, I'm excited to let you know that we've applied for again this year the opportunity to receive grant funding for overtime and employee-related expenses as they relate to DUI enforcement, and we have been able to receive that reimbursement grant. So we're asking that you approve resolution 17-1248.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish?
Move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 17-1248.
There's a second? Second. Motion by Councilman Hewish, second by Councilman Nelson. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 22, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 17-1249, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the city of Douglas Police Department to accept grant funding and enter into an agreement with the state of Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety for a reimbursable grant in the amount of $13,746 as part of the Federal 402 PTS funds for personnel overtime and equipment to enhance the department's selective traffic enforcement program. Mr. Russell?
Mayor and Council, this is a very similar opportunity that we had on a previous agenda. Where that one dealt specifically with DUI offenses and enforcement, this deals with what they call selected traffic enforcement program. Those are the types of traffic enforcement opportunities. As you can see, we'll be getting 2 radar devices. So this helps us to pay for that additional overtime and enforcement processes we go through the year. And we recommend that you approve resolution 17-1249.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Lewis?
Move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 17-1249.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilman Hewish, second by Councilman Hewish. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 23, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 17-1250, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the Douglas Police Department to enter into a grant agreement from the Arizona Automobile Staff Authority in the amount of $1,188.87 for equipment and events to prevent auto theft in the community. Mr. Jimmy Russell.
Mayor and Council, this is another grant that I'm very excited to bring before you that we received for the purchase of some equipment that will help us with auto theft in community events. We can use it during community events to personalize or mark vehicles so that we can easily identify them if they're stolen. The amount of the grant is $1,188. And while I ask that you approve this resolution 17-1250, I also want to give my thanks to Sergeant Duarte for all of his work in applying for these grants and being very successful in this.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish.
Move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 17-1250.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hewish, second by Councilmember Nelson. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, real quick. I just want to echo what you just said there. And please, if Ms. Chief could please let Sergeant Walker know how appreciative we are of all the work she's done putting the grant programs together, as well as Ms. Jennifer Smith too, because that's
Everyone. It's a team effort. Please echo that on behalf of the mayor and council. Chief.
I'd like to find out at the end of this year, fiscal year, how we're seeing much grant funding. Our staff has done an amazing job. I mean, from the SCBA's for the FEMA funding to the Fast Pitch grant to, I mean, everything that we've done, we've been very successful. So.
And if I just may add real quick, I'm sorry, on that note, Mr. Carranza, thank you so much.
Yes.
Couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much for the whole team effort.
Good job. Roll call.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 24, adjournment.
Mr. Mayor?
Ma'am?
Mr. Mayor, I move that mayor and council adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Morales, second by Councilmember Betancourt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.
$5 more. And it's good during the summer months, so we'll let you have up to $5 a month.
But the problem is.
That's 100 and. 196, 190.
I made my pitch. I know. Thank you for being here. I haven't touched it. No, it's fairly unknown. Those things have to be reviewed. Wait a minute. It's going to be the side street, it's not going to be. Yes. I thought you said
Have a good evening, Mr. George.
I'll do that, thank you. I'll do that.
Yeah.